Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a part of your biology that's quietly running the show in the background. It's absolutely central to your immunity, how quickly you recover, and even, why you look refreshed, or maybe not so refreshed, after sleep. We're taking a deep dive into the lymphatic system.
Exactly.
Many of us learned about the heart, the blood, but
Yeah.
this system, it often feels a bit, well, mysterious.
It does.
But once you grasp the mechanics, some of those activities that might seem a little fringe, like bouncing on a trampoline or light facial massage, suddenly make perfect sense. They're actually very effective science-based tools.
And that's really our mission today. We want to clarify the structure of this really unsung system, outline its critical roles. It's doing double duty with waste management and immune defense, and crucially, provide you, the listener, with actionable science-backed ways to support it.
Okay.
Yeah, our sources are really clear on this. The lymphatic system is essential, but it does have a sort of design quirk, let's call it, maybe an evolutionary constraint.
What's that?
It runs entirely without its own central pump, unlike the heart driving blood flow. This means we, through our daily habits, are basically responsible for keeping this system flowing. It's passive.
Right, okay. So it needs our help. Let's unpack that. Maybe start with a quick refresher on the body's main plumbing, the cardiovascular system, for context.
Good idea. So we all know the basics. The heart pumps oxygenated blood, full of nutrients like glucose, hormones, amino acids, out through the arteries, branching into smaller arterioles, and finally reaching the tiny capillaries.
And that's where the action happens, right, in the tissues.
Exactly. Those capillary walls are super thin, just one cell thick, perfect for letting nutrients and oxygen seep out of the blood and into the surrounding tissues, specifically into what's called the interstitial space.
Which is like the fluid environment bathing all our cells.
Precisely. And cells use those nutrients, do their work, and then naturally they produce waste products. Carbon dioxide, ammonia, bits of cellular debris, various metabolites, all that stuff gets kicked out into that same interstitial space.
Okay, so nutrients in, waste out. Makes sense.
Right. Now here's the key point about the blood system itself. As blood enters the capillary bed from the artery side, the pressure, it's called filtration pressure, is relatively high. It pushes fluid out.
Pushes the good stuff out to the cell.
Yes. And while most of that fluid, along with some waste, is meant to get sucked back into the capillaries on the vein side, where the pressure is lower, the system isn't, well, perfect. Mechanically, physically, it just can't reclaim everything.
Not perfect. Why not? Just a limitation of the design.
It really boils down to physics. The pressure pushing fluid out at the start of the capillary is always just a little bit higher than the pressure pulling fluid back in at the end. It's a small difference, but over the whole body it adds up.
To how much?
To about 3 to 4 liters of excess fluid, plus proteins and larger waste particles left behind in that interstitial space every single day.
Wow, 3 to 4 liters. That's a lot of fluid.
It's a huge amount. And think about it. If that fluid and all that cellular junk just sat there, you'd swell up incredibly fast. Plus, it would become toxic to the surrounding cells.
Okay, so something has to clean up that leftover mess.
Exactly. And that is precisely why the lymphatic system exists. It's this critical third system, kind of like the body's dedicated sewage and reclamation service. It's just waiting there in the interstitial space to collect all that excess fluid and debris that the blood capillaries leave behind.
And that collected fluid is called lymph. You mentioned it's sort of clear, maybe a bit sticky.
Yeah, semi-viscous is a good term. It's mostly water, but it carries all those waste products, proteins that escape the blood, and sometimes white blood cells too. Rarely red blood cells, though. They're usually too big to get out.
Okay, so this lymph clearance system is doing two main things.
Two absolutely crucial jobs, yeah. First, the obvious one, fluid drainage and waste clearance. Just physically removing those 3-4 liters daily prevents massive swelling and toxicity. If it fails, you get that chronic buildup, especially of proteins and inflammatory debris. That leads to local inflammation, the tissues can actually start to harden, and it becomes a breeding ground for chronic infections.
And that's what leads to lymphedema, right? Which can be really serious, especially after things like cancer surgery where lymph nodes might be removed or damaged.
That's exactly right. Lymphedema is the clinical result of this drainage system failing significantly.
Okay, so drainage is job one. What's the second?
The second job is immune surveillance. This system isn't just passive pipes. It's an active part of your defense network.
How does that work?
Well, dotted along these lymphatic vessels are lymph nodes. Think of them as small, bean-shaped filtering stations or checkpoints. The lymph fluid is forced to percolate through these nodes.
And inside the nodes?
Inside, the fluid is basically sequestered and put under intense scrutiny by specialized immune cells, your T cells, B cells, macrophages. They're constantly sampling the lymph.
Like little security guards checking IDs.
Exactly like that. They're looking for any signs of trouble. Bacterial invaders, viral particles, damaged cells, even cancer cells that might have broken loose.
So when you get sick and feel those swollen glands in your neck or under your arm?
That's literally the physical sign of an immune battle raging inside that lymph node. The node swells because it's packed with activated immune cells fighting off whatever threat they detected in the lymph fluid passing through. You're feeling the mobilization.
Okay, that paints a clear picture. Now let's get back to that quirk you mentioned, the no pump situation. This seems like a major design challenge.
It really is. The cardiovascular system has the powerhouse heart muscle driving circulation constantly. The lymphatic system, nothing like that. It's a passive, low-pressure network.
And it has to move this, you said, semi-viscous fluid upwards against gravity a lot of the time.
Constantly fighting gravity, especially from the legs and lower body.
So how on earth does it manage that without a pump?
It's actually quite ingenious, relying on two main features. First, the vessels themselves are structured as entirely one-way streets. They have a dense network of internal valves, like tiny trapdoors, ensuring lymph can only flow towards the heart, never backwards.
Okay, so no backflow, but what pushes it forward?
Movement. Simple physical movement. The body basically co-opts our own activity as the pump.
How so?
Lymphatic vessels are cleverly positioned. Some are very superficial, right under the skin. Others run deeper, often nestled right alongside or within the fascia surrounding our muscles.
Ah, so when muscles contract.
Exactly. Every time a muscle contracts, even small contractions from just walking, standing upright, shifting your weight, fidgeting it, gently squeezes those nearby lymphatic vessels.
And that pressure pushes the lymph forward.
Pushes the lymph past the next one-way valve. Then the valve snaps shut behind it, preventing backflow. It's a constant, low-level milking action driven by our everyday activity.
Okay, that makes sense. So, given that we are the pump, essentially, what's the baseline? What should we be aiming for daily to keep this system happy?
The research and sources point towards consistency. Just consistent, low-level movement. Aiming for at least 7,000 steps per day seems to be a really solid baseline target.
And that doesn't have to be structured exercise necessarily?
Not at all. Everyday stuff counts significantly. Walking the dog, vacuuming the house, taking the stairs, even just standing up from your desk regularly. All these provide those necessary low-level muscle contractions.
Okay, 7,000 steps. That feels achievable. Now let's talk about those goofy practices you mentioned. Rebounding comes to mind.
Right. Bouncing on a mini trampoline. Sounds more like kids' play than, serious health intervention.
Yeah, how can jumping up and down possibly be an efficient pump? Seems counterintuitive with gravity.
But the physics works out quite elegantly. Think about it. When you jump up, yes, you're loading the vessels, but the magic happens during that brief moment of weightlessness at the peak and then the landing. Because of those one-way valves we talked about, gravity can't just slam the fluid back down when you land. Instead, the compression from landing, combined with the sort of internal jiggle or shudder, actually propels the lymph rapidly upward past the next set of valves.
Ah, so the valves prevent the downward slosh, and the impact forces it up.
Precisely. It's surprisingly efficient mechanical stimulation for those valve vessels.
That's a great explanation. What about swimming? I've heard that's particularly good.
Swimming or even just treading water is fantastic. The water itself provides hydrostatic pressure, basically. The water pushes gently on your entire body surface.
Like a gentle full-body hug.
Kind of, yeah. And this constant gentle pressure creates a shearing force across the skin that directly stimulates those superficial lymphatic vessels lying just underneath, encouraging drainage without you even needing aggressive muscle contractions. The water does a lot of the work.
Interesting. Okay, but what if you can't move much? Like stuck on a long flight, or maybe recovering from an injury, or just chained to a desk all day?
Great question. Even then, you have a surprisingly powerful tool available. Diaphragmatic breathing.
Deep belly breathing. That seems too simple. How can just breathing move fluid against gravity?
It leverages anatomy to create a powerful pressure difference. When you do proper diaphragmatic breathing, inhale deeply, let your belly expand outwards, your diaphragm muscle moves down.
Right, it flattens out.
That downward movement increases the pressure inside your abdominal cavity. It gently squeezes everything in there.
And what's important lymphatically in the abdomen?
The cisterna-chyli. It's this large, sort of sac-like reservoir, a major collection point where lymph from your entire lower body pools before heading upwards.
So the belly breath, Squeezes this
It
reservoir.
squeezes the cisterna chyli, increasing pressure there. But at the same time, that deep inhalation expands your chest cavity, creating low pressure up in your thorax.
High pressure below, low pressure above.
Exactly. Fluid naturally moves from high pressure to low pressure. So that diaphragmatic breath literally sucks the lymph up from that abdominal reservoir into the chest, pushing it towards its final drainage points. Doing just a few deep belly breaths periodically is like giving that central reservoir a good flush.
Okay, the mechanics are suddenly crystal clear. Fantastic. Now, let's shift to intentional manipulation manual lymphatic massage, or MLM. It's a standard medical treatment for things like lymphedema.
Yes, very common, especially post-cancer treatment.
But the number one rule always seems to be light touch, not deep tissue massage. Why is that?
Instinctively, you'd think deeper pressure would push the fluid harder, right?
That's the most common misconception, and it's really important to get this right. Remember how delicate those initial lymphatic capillaries are? The ones right under the skin that first pick up the fluid.
Yeah, you said they were thin? Incredibly thin and fragile. If you apply deep, firm pressure, like in a sports massage, you don't actually push the lymph along better. You risk collapsing those delicate capillaries or even rupturing them. You shut down the entry points.
Oh, okay. So counterproductive.
Totally counterproductive. You need a very gentle, almost feather-light pressure. Think more of a light stroking or shearing force across the skin, just enough to gently stretch the skin and encourage the anchoring filaments around those capillaries to open them up, allowing fluid into the vessels. You're coaxing it in, not forcing it along.
So it's about stimulating the uptake at the surface, not driving fluid deep down.
Exactly. Gentle stimulation of surface flow. And remember, the ultimate destination for all this collected lymph fluid is back into your bloodstream.
Where does that happen?
It dumps into two large veins located right near your collarbones, up in the upper chest area.
Yeah.
These are the subclavian veins.
Okay, near the clavicles. And I recall reading the drainage pattern is weirdly asymmetrical. It's not like the left side drains the left, right side drains the right.
That's right. It's quite unbalanced. Think of it like this. There's one major superhighway and one smaller regional road.
Okay.
The left thoracic duct is the superhighway. It collects lymph from your entire lower body, both legs, the abdomen plus the left arm, the left side of the chest, and the left side of the head and neck. It's doing the vast majority of the work.
Wow. Okay, so the left duct handles almost everything below the ribs and the upper left.
Pretty much. Then the right thoracic duct is the smaller road. It only drains the right arm, the right side of the chest, and the right side of the head and neck.
So much smaller territory.
Much smaller. That's why MLM protocols often start with very gentle clearing movements, like light rubbing or patting, right around the clavicle area, particularly on the left side. It's like preparing the main drain before encouraging fluid to flow towards it from the rest of the body. You don't want to squeeze or massage the lymph nodes themselves, though. Just encourage flow toward these final drainage points.
Fascinating. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about the brain. Because for a long time, the thinking was the brain was special, maybe immune to this whole lymphatic drainage thing. But that changed, right?
Massively changed.
Yeah.
Around 2012, researchers confirmed the existence of the glymphatic system. It's essentially the brain's dedicated lymphatic equivalent.
Wow, so the brain does have its own waste clearance system.
Absolutely. And it's one of the most exciting neuroscience discoveries in recent years. This glymphatic system is specifically designed to flush out metabolic waste products that build up in the brain during waking hours.
Yeah.
Critically, this includes proteins like amyloid beta plaques, which are strongly linked to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's.
Okay, so brain health is directly tied to this. And connecting it back to what you said earlier, our appearance, our cognitive function, that's linked too.
Directly linked. Here's the really mind-blowing part. The research overwhelmingly shows that this glymphatic clearance process kicks into high gear primarily during sleep.
Makes sense. Cleanup happens overnight.
But how it happens is amazing. During deep sleep, the actual space around the blood vessels in your brain, the perivascular space, literally expands. It swells open by up to 60%.
60%, that's huge.
It's an enormous physical change. This massive expansion allows cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, to flow rapidly through the brain tissue, basically power washing it, flushing out all that accumulated metabolic debris and waste products.
Okay, that explains why even one night of bad sleep makes you feel foggy and maybe look puffy.
Precisely. If you don't get enough quality sleep, that flushing process is severely impaired. What waste literally builds up. That contributes directly to that feeling of brain fog, poor concentration, And yeah, visible signs like puffiness or bags under the eyes.
Yeah.
It's cellular waste hanging around.
So optimizing sleep is probably the single biggest lever we can pull for optimizing this glymphatic function.
Arguably, yes. It's absolutely fundamental for brain hygiene.
So what are the best evidence-based tools for specifically optimizing that brain drainage during sleep?
Research suggests a few things. First, sleeping position seems to matter. Studies comparing positions have found that side sleeping is associated with the most efficient lymphatic clearance, more so than sleeping on your back or your stomach.
Interesting. Side sleeping. What else?
Simple physics helps too. Ensuring your head isn't tilted downwards, so using an appropriate pillow for good neck alignment is important. And some evidence suggests that slightly elevating your feet, maybe 5 to 10 degrees, using a pillow under your ankles or knees, can provide a gentle systemic assist against gravity, potentially helping fluid return overall.
Okay, side sleeping, head supported, feet slightly elevated. Anything else during the day that helps the nighttime cleanup?
Yes, regular aerobic exercise. Cardiovascular exercise, in particular, improves overall blood flow and systemic circulation, and studies show it leads to enhanced lymphatic clearance later that night during sleep. So your workout today helps your brain clean itself tonight.
That's a great motivator. And just quickly circling back to facial puffiness in the morning, that's just trapped lymph fluid.
Largely, yes. Especially in those delicate tissues around the eyes, the tiny lymphatic capillaries in the face get a bit congested overnight.
So things like jade rollers or gua sha tools.
Right.
They actually work on this principle.
They can, yes, provided they're used correctly, which means with very light pressure. Just like MLM for the body, you're not trying to force fluid out. You're using gentle, directional strokes to encourage that stagnant lymph fluid in the facial capillaries to move along, typically draining down towards the neck and those main collection points near the clavicles we discussed. Light touch is key.
This has been incredibly clarifying. It really paints the lymphatic system as this crucial multitasking network, handling waste, defending us, and being absolutely central to heart health, brain health, appearance, longevity. It's our inner resilience system, really.
Beautifully put. It sits right at the intersection of so many vital processes. So quickly summarize the core actionable insights for everyone listening. Support this amazing system through movement, really aiming for that 7,000 steps or more baseline daily. Use diaphragmatic breathing as your built-in low-effort internal pump throughout the day. And prioritize optimized sleep, think side sleeping, good alignment, maybe slight foot elevation, and crucially stay well hydrated, especially upon waking, to support overall fluid volume and flow.
Movement, breathing, sleep. Got it.
And maybe here's a final provocative thought for you to mull over, connecting exercise and longevity in a new way. We always talk about cardio strengthening the heart muscle. True. But regular cardiovascular exercise does something else profound.
What's that?
It actually stimulates lymphangiogenesis. That's the growth of brand new lymphatic vessels, specifically within the heart tissue itself.
Whoa. The heart grows its own enhanced drainage system.
Exactly. As we age, the heart, like any tissue, accumulates cellular waste and inflammation. By stimulating the growth of more lymphatic vessels within the heart through regular exercise, you're enhancing its ability to clear out that waste and mitigate that age-related inflammation directly. It's a fundamental biological reason why exercise promotes heart health and longevity beyond just muscle strength. It's about better plumbing, better cleanup, right in the heart itself.
That's absolutely fascinating, a powerful reason to keep moving. So keep moving, breathe deeply, prioritize that sleep. Your complex, vital, and maybe previously unsung lymphatic system will definitely thank you for it.